they figure you're so young looking, we're going to throw you in undercover. So
Yeah.
tell me about
Yeah,
that.
we had a joke. We're going to create a business card. Young face will travel. So they wanted to do a high school program. They'd
Mhm.
tried one before, and I don't know if it wasn't very successful. So they're like, "You wanted to work undercover narcotics? We're going to give you a chance." And back then, I was like, "Oh my gosh, look how much they trust me." This is I was all in, right? I didn't think about the liability or the risk or any of it. I did have one of my college professors, though. I knew he was incredibly concerned. He actually gave me a book about somebody. I can't even remember the title of the book. The book was about a cop who had done this and they murdered him. And I mean, he was trying to scare me. He's like, you need to understand the reality of what you're getting into. And I read the whole book,
Yeah.
but it didn't stop me from wanting to do it. And so, yeah, I hung out at the high school for 2 months. We said in the beginning going in, we're only going to do 2 months. If we find nothing, great and wonderful. But here's what they did. So I had never even smoked a cigarette. I had no training whatsoever. So they took me out to the range for a week and then taught me how to use a gun. I had fired guns growing up, but like my dad holding my arms, trying to, I'd never really we had guns in my house even after he passed away, but never really been trained with it. So I did my firearms training. They took me down to evidence so I could see what drugs were. They took me to the Red Eye Hut so I knew more about paraphernalia. And then they got me my undercover ID and my car and like all this fake background. And I went over and registered at the school and all of a sudden I was doing it.
What were they looking for in particular at the school?
So the school itself,
No, I mean, why insert you I'm assuming you were a student?
yeah, I went in as a student.
Yeah. So what were they thinking that there were drugs? Is it preventative or what's going
So
on?
I don't know that they actually knew, in all honesty.
Okay.
I think they believed I'd find something, but but they did say, even if she doesn't, we're pulling her out in 2 months. Great for the school if there's nothing.
Yeah.
But if there's a problem, we want to identify this. So obviously I go in with this, I'm an 18-year-old transferred from Washington. I have to go in and do the whole registration at the beginning of the school. It was crazy. Got my student ID and everything. And nobody in the school knows except the principal. Nobody has any clue who I am. But I remember I told you I was born and raised in this area.
Uh-huh.
My 8th grade English teacher was teaching at Caldwell High. And he knew, like, you know how you see people and you're like, man, they're so familiar. But I'm a high school student, so he isn't putting this together. There was actually a cop when I was growing up over in Jim County that was very inappropriate with some of the high school girls. Would pull us over and ask us to go hot tubbing and stuff with him. Well, he was now working in Canyon County when I was doing that undercover program. And he actually told one of the girls I went to lunch with that I was a cop because he knew where I had gone to work at. And he ended up losing his job over it. But he was hitting on her. He was doing some weird stuff.
Yeah.
But just, living in this small community, I ran into, and then, here's another crazy thing while I was working undercover. We were out there, we'd gone somewhere for lunch because we had an off-campus thing, and I'm with one of the kids, and a guy I had gone to school with since grade school ran into us. And he came up, and I was still using the same first name, but I was letting them call me Angie, which I never do. I don't go by Angie, but I was going by Angie. And he came up and he's like, "Oh, we're going to have it." And I'm like, "Who are you?" And she's with me. And he's like, "Remember we went to high school together. We graduated." And I'm like, "I'm still in high school." And he's like, "You look just like her. You told me." Like, he wouldn't give up. And I'm just dying because he's just like insisting because he didn't know me. He'd known me since kindergarten. And so we left and she's like, "Oh my God, he was so hitting on you." And I'm like, "I know." Like I was panicked or forgetting what my name was, forgetting what my last name was. I remember one time I used my real name in a classroom and I wrote it on a paper and the teacher called me up and I'm like, "That's my boyfriend's last name and we're getting married someday and I can use that name if I want to. Can I go to the bathroom?" And I was like, I thought I was going to throw up because I had blown my cover. I sucked at this. I sucked at maintaining the lie. It was so crazy to me. But I arrested 16 students and
You did?
yeah, turned in names of I think it was about 30 other people who said, "Oh, I can get you this or I can set you up with that."
Uh-huh.
Nobody, I didn't get anything besides weed from the ones who sold to me.
Yeah.
But there were several others that were, trying to make deals and set things up. And maybe given them more time, they would have.
Mhm.
But we, had this kind of time frame.
Wow.
So I would, like, if I knew I was going to make a deal, we would try and like had to skip school to come back and get my wire so we could do the deal after school. I got detention for skipping school, getting my wire on, and had a guy threaten to, well, he was a member, and we were going to go do the deal after school in my Chevy Sprint. And again, no training whatsoever, right? And I've got my wire on, and my team is following me, and he's like, so I heard you're a narc. And I said, trying to play it off. And he said, well, I just want you to know, if you're a narc, I'm going to take care of you. And I'm thinking, oh shit, he's reaching for his gun. Mine's under the seat. I don't think I get into mine faster. He's already got his hand on it. But it scared. Nobody prepared me for this, right? Scared me to death. And that adrenaline came out, and I started driving really fast, and I lost all my cover officers. They heard that on the radio, and then I lost them. They didn't find me again until after the drug deal was gone. We'd already done it.
Wow.
Yeah. Think about the liability of that stuff.
How old are you at this time?
23 years old.
Ugh.
No training whatsoever. None. I'm sitting here now thinking back going, oh my God. But it was so, it feels like I'd been describing somebody else's life. All the crazy things. I had a kid who was threatening to kill me, wrote letters around the school after he got arrested. My name and address were still in the phone book.
Yeah. Probably back in the day,
nobody even, none, we didn't prepare for any of it. You know how they were having me identify people? Because some of these people I'd only deal with for 5 minutes. So they had me go through the annual and point to people. We arrested 2 of the wrong students. When I saw them face to face, I'm like, that's not them. Not them. But we'd taken them all to juvenile detention at that point. So we had to go get 2 of them out of juvenile detention. One of the parents actually was like, I just want you to know, I think you guys scared my son straight. He's doing so well. But look at all the stuff that could have gone wrong with that.
Oh, yeah.